All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. We're still going to stream some Gothic horror prep right after this, but I got to take a look at this book today. Pretty exciting. There's some cool stuff in here. Some stuff was a little disappointing, but some of it was very, very interesting, and there was some really cool materials in here. So yeah, I'm going to be using the DNDBeyond copy of it. So let's jump into it. All right. Make your dragons soar to new heights with the supplement for the world's finest role-playing game. All right, no arguments there. It's like 50% of the game, right? Dungeons and Dragons. So I run a lot of dragons. Yeah, Red Hand of Doom. I think there's 5 dragons. Plus an aspect of Tiamat. Then I ran Storm King's Thunder, which has some real big, heavy-hitting dragons in it. That was coming off of Lost Mines of Phandelver, which is an optional side boss who's a dragon that it tied into the plotline for that. Gosh, Skull and Shackles. Lost track of how many dragons they fought in that. I even managed to sneak a couple of dragons into Ghost of Saltmarsh, including a baby dragon that was adopted by Saltmarsh Moon, and an eel dragon that was recruited by Saltmarsh Sun. I'm a huge fan of dragons, and I'm always looking for new dragons and new ways to present dragons to my players and involve them in the games. I think dragons are really important. Also, super old. Been playing the game for a long time, since the 2nd edition days. When I was a kid, as I am also as an adult, not a great reader, but I did, by my own choice, go out and read D&D novels as a kid because I was so into D&D, and some of those novels were the Dragonlance novels. So Fizban, which is of course one of the forms that Bahamut takes, it was just I don't know, it's a big nostalgia hit. So I was very excited about this book and seeing what it had to offer. So right off the bat, it talks about Draconic Races. Now, what I thought was interesting about Draconic Races is there was a UA that was sort of paving the way for this book, and in the UA, they talked about other types of kobolds, like brave kobolds and medium-sized kobolds and things like that. Those guys did not make it into the book, which was a little disappointing to see that the cooler kobolds did not make it into the book. But they did bring in they basically revamped Dragonborn. Dragonborn have been pretty bad. Not Volo's Orc bad, but they're pretty bad mechanically. It doesn't stop people from playing them because who doesn't want to be a big dragon person? But they're pretty bad. So they definitely address that in this book. Basically, if you're playing a player's handbook dragon now, when you have the Wildmount versions to play, or the Fizban's versions to play, you're basically like, I don't know, you're playing on hard mode. The standard Dragonborn does not hold a candle to these newer Dragonborn. So let's talk about the newer Dragonborn. As with the last few books, they introduced the concept that your ability scores are not tied to your race or species. I appreciate that. Doing the same thing with my Bloodlines project, either 2-in-1 or 3-by-1. So that's good stuff. Languages no longer tied to your race. This kind of represents the more modern cosmopolitan idea that culture is more important than race, background is more important than race, that sort of thing. And then they also talk about creature type. This kind of got me excited that maybe Dragonborns would be classed as dragon instead of humanoid, or humanoid and dragon. They still have not committed to dual type Pokemons yet, so they are still considered humanoids. So the art that you're going to experience in the book is a lot of the Magic the Gathering Forgotten Realms artwork, but makes sense because they paid good money to get that art for their Magic the Gathering cards. They might as well get as much mileage out of it as possible. And it's beautiful art, so, that's cool. So they divided the Dragonborn up into 3 categories now. You have your Chromatic Dragonborn, you have your Gem Dragonborn, and you have your Metallic Dragonborn. Now, Chromatic Dragonborn, they have the biggest breath weapon. So there's no more dinky little, like, 10-foot lines or any of that nonsense. All the Chromatic Dragonborn have a huge breath weapon, 30 foot. It's a very big breath weapon. Additionally, no more spending your entire action using your breath weapon. You can now substitute an attack during your turn with the breath weapon. So if you are a class that has multiple attacks, you'll be able to breathe your breath weapon as one of your attacks. I think that's fantastic, and it's very dragon-like. I'm down for that. Currently in my games, because Dragonborn are so poor mechanically, we allow you to use your breath weapon with a bonus action. But I think that this is much better. I like it quite a bit. Additionally, it's all universal damage, so what your birthright is only affects your damage type. It does not change how big the breath weapon is or how much damage it causes, so that's pretty cool. Breath weapons are tied to your constitution modifier. I feel like that's a good choice, and it makes sense mechanically. You, as a Chromatic Dragonborn, you get resistance to your Chromatic Ancestry. That checks out. And then they get this cool ability at level 5 that you channel your Draconic Energy for 1 minute. You become immune to the type of damage associated with you. I thought that was fantastic. It is a long rest ability, but resistances are pretty easy to come by. Immunities, not so much. So that's pretty exciting. I was like, dang, that's really, really good. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's pretty good, but it's not great. Oh, hey, what's up there, Brimcon? It's good, but it's very situational, right? Like, how often do I need to be completely immune to acid? How often do I need to be completely immune to cold, right? Or lightning? So depending on your campaign and what you're fighting, this immunity might not become that interesting. Also, having it be an action is really rough. I could see as a reaction or as a bonus action, but having it as an action, that felt pretty rough for a very limited usability. So then we come over to the Gem Dragonborn, and they make you forget all about the Chromatic Dragonborn, which is very sad. Yeah, there is a reaction spell that allows you to not transmute the damage, but yeah, there's a reaction spell that called Absorb Elements that allows you to gain resistance to any element as it comes in, which is, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't just make this chromatic warding a reaction-based ability. I don't know. Then you go to Gem Dragonborn. Gem Dragonborn are bananas. They're absolutely bananas. So they have a breath weapon, and to balance it out a little bit, they only have a 15-foot cone instead of a 30-foot cone. Now, a 15-foot cone is terrible. You compare a 30-foot cone to a 15-foot cone, I mean, it's a huge difference, right? But it's the same DC, it's the same damage dice. And, by the way, Dragonborn can now use their breath weapon a number of days equal to their proficiency bonus, which is awesome. However, the type of damage these guys are dealing, Force, Radiant, Psychic, Thunder, and Necrotic. These are some great damage types. Force damage, one of the least resisted damages in the game. Absolutely phenomenal. Psychic damage off a breath weapon. Keep in mind that if you are an Emerald Dragonborn, you get resistance to Psychic, so you become a Bear Totem Barbarian, and now you're resistant to all damage in the game. It's pretty damn good. So that alone seems pretty good, right? But it gets better. They also have telepathy out to 30 feet. Admittedly, it is only one way, but it's pretty damn good. Make for a good, wild-shaped druid. Any kind of stealthy character. That's going to be great. Then you've got this. Instead of getting immunity for 1 minute and spending an action, by the way, you can, as a bonus action, these guys get this as a bonus action, manifest spectral wings. These wings last for 1 minute. During this duration, you get a flight speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. Admittedly, everyone allows everyone to hover. That's not really a big deal. But if your DM is very strict about flight rules, hover is kind of a big selling point. And then once you use this, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. What the hell? Okay, so I get I get like immunity to acid once per long rest, but I have to spend an action to do it. This clown over here, once per long rest for a bonus action, can fly. Can basically like psychically fly. That seems a little... There's some inequity there. There's some inequity. Is his breath weapon smaller? Sure, but it does better damage types. Yeah, it makes me kind of sad for the chromatic dragons. It makes me kind of sad. Then we've got the metallic Dragonborn, which I was pretty excited for. And their big claim to fame is they also have a reduced size breath weapon, same damage type, same damage dice, same number of uses per day, same DC, all that. They gain resistance to their heritage, and they have the classic ones just like chromatic. But they get a secondary breath weapon, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, they don't get the super powerful, like, paralyzing breath weapon and all that kind of stuff. But they do get enervating breath or repulsion breath. I mean, tough call here. Enervating breath is a constitution save or become incapacitated. No actions or reactions until the start of your next turn. Admittedly, it's only a 15-foot cone, but that's pretty damn good. Or repulsion breath is a strength save, not as good because a lot of monsters have good con and good save. Push 20 feet away from you and knocked prone. Both of them are really cool, and it gives you that feeling of being a, you are a metallic dragon. You get 2 breath weapons. It's pretty damn good. Enervating breath is pretty damn good. So you could fly once a day. You could do a 15-foot cone hypnotic pattern, essentially. Or you could be immune to 1 damage type by spending a full bonus action. A full action. I feel really bad for the chromatic Dragonborn. Now, I will say this. That 30-foot cone breath weapon, that's going to be nice. If you got a campaign where you're fighting a lot of trash mobs, a lot of low-level stuff, your DM likes to use minions, things like that, these guys are going to be awesome. Proficiency bonus, number of times to use breath weapon when you take an attack action on your turn. It doesn't say once per turn, so if you have multiple attack, I guess theoretically you could spam your 30-foot cone breath weapon over and over again. That's pretty cool. So there are pros and cons to all of them, but the standouts to me are definitely the gem dragons. They're fantastic. So then we go over to subclass options. And for subclass options, it's the 2 classes that need the most help. Monks and rangers. Considered by most people to be kind of the worst 2 classes in 5e. I was really excited. Honestly, having immunity to fire as a buff, sure, as an action, but if you know a fireball is coming... Yeah, I mean, it's good, and again, immunity is hard to come by, so it is a good ability, but it's a lot more niche than just being able to fly once per day, or being able to do a nice, small cone hold person, essentially. Anyways, so with the subclasses, you've got Monk and you've got Ranger. And I was really excited for these. They were very powerful in the UA. Both of these were very powerful in the UA. They have both been pretty heavily nerfed for release. I guess that's because Monks and Rangers can never have anything nice, is the call here. So the Way of the Ascendant Dragon, it thematically is really, really exciting. Mechanically, it just doesn't deliver that much. This could be tied to, again, the key action economy, the key point action economy. That's why in my games, I basically double how much key that the monks get, because I just don't feel like they have enough to do everything. So, yeah. Also, with Stunning Strike, I banned Stunning Strike on monks in exchange for a D10 hit die and double key points, and that's been working pretty good. But what I'm probably going to do in December when I revamp my homebrew rules is I'm going to reintroduce Stunning Strike, but I'm just going to give stronger monsters basically a resistance to stunning attacks. So basically, if a stronger monster is stunned, it would be dazed instead for the duration of the stun. And dazed is basically a 4th edition thing that allows you to do only one thing on your turn, a move, an action, or a bonus action. You can't do all the things on the turn, but it still allows that boss monster to do something instead of just standing there like a punching bag for the 6 to 8 players that Critical Role encouraged you to have to just take turns doing pinata birthday on your boss monster. Either way, I think this class could be a lot more fun if it had more key points to work with. Sort of like every other monk, they're just the limitations on the key points is rough. It's rough. You do sort of get a lot of cool dragon-esque abilities. You get the blind sight, you get a breath weapon. You're kind of a better elemental monk than the original elemental monk. No, I haven't even. I just started with Dragonborn, so I haven't gotten to the magic items yet. But overall, this one's kind of rough, especially if you're playing a Dragonborn, because a lot of what you get as an ascendant, a dragon ascendant monk or an ascendant dragon, you get naturally as a Dragonborn anyways. So it's like, I don't know. I wish it was better than it is. That's kind of my take on the Ascendant Dragon. And I think it could be better with more key points. Alright, so then we go to Ranger Drake Warden. I was really excited for this because Ranger was supposed to be this great pet class, and then they made Artificer the best pet class, and that kind of felt bad. Because, Artificer was already good at so many things, but they're like, hey, you're also the best pet class. So then you got Ranger Drake Warden, which sounds amazing, right? You're going to get your own dragon. That's awesome. So as I'm reading through it, I'm like, this is pretty cool, but your Drake starts off medium, small. Your Drake starts off small, and it doesn't reach like a rideable size for a medium character until level 15. Like, you can't even ride it until it's until you're level 15, which seems crazy to me. So I guess if you wanted to ride your Drake companion, you have to play a small race to get the most out of this class, which was kind of disappointing to me. I kind of feel like when it reaches medium size, it should just, I don't know. Here it says, the Drake grows a medium mount. Reflecting your special bond, you can use your Drake as a mount if your size is medium or smaller. So, alright, I guess you could start riding it at level 7. That's cool. I kind of missed that the first time through. Overall, I think it's pretty good. I like the fact that it starts as a Drake and it slowly becomes like more and more of a full dragon. Compared to the monk ability and compared to a lot of the other ranger ones, I really do like the Drake Warden quite a bit. So, I also like the Pokemon aspect that it starts small and then it starts to size up as you go. Seeing that you can in fact start riding around on it at level 7 does make it a little bit better. It's a little weird to see a medium creature riding another medium creature. Kind of reminds me of like Tauren from World of Warcraft riding on any Kodo beast. But I mean, we'll make it work. So yeah, overall, those are the 2 new classes, or the 2 new subclasses, and they're kind of cool. So then we go over to Draconic feats, and I heard that some of these feats were pretty good. These I didn't get a chance to look at earlier today. So, Gift of the Chromatic Dragon, you manifested some power of Chromatic Dragons, granting you the following benefits. Chromatic Infusion as a bonus action. You can touch a simple or martial weapon and infuse it with the following types. Acid, fire, cold, lightning, or poison. For the next minute, it deals 1d4 extra damage to the chosen type. After you use this bonus action, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. And reactive resistance. When you take acid, fire, lightning, or poison damage, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to that instance of damage. So it's a one-use thing. But you could use this a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That is pretty damn cool. If you're playing a dragon-themed campaign, where you're going up against a lot of dragons, a lot of elemental creatures. Both of these seem really, really good to me. If you are playing in a Giphy Glyph game where monsters actually have vulnerabilities to damage types, this is really cool, this Chromatic Infusion. So I thought this was pretty neat. Gift of the Gem Dragon. So this one's interesting, and keeping with the theme of Gem Dragons being really good, this one actually gives you ability score increase and telekinetic reprisal. When you take damage from a creature that's within 10 feet of you, you use a reaction to emanate telekinetic energy. The creature that dealt the damage must make a strength saving throw, equal to a DC set by the ability score raised by this, so one of your mental stats. On a failed save, they take 2d8 force damage, and they're forced 10 feet away from you. This can be very good if a monster used up all of its speed to get to you. It starts laying into you with a multi-attack. It lands that first hit. You push it away. It doesn't have enough reach or speed to get to you and finish its attack sequence. That's really, really good. On a successful save, they take half as much damage, and they are not pushed. And this is also another one tied to your proficiency bonus. Refreshes on a long rest. To me, especially with the lack of charisma-based feats that there are, this is a great feat for somebody that wants to boost their charisma, but only a little bit, and get something cool in the process. So I thought this was really, really nice. Also, Gift of the Metallic Dragon. You've manifested some of the power of Metallic Dragons, granting you the following benefits. Draconic Healing. You learn the Cure Wounds spell. I mean, that's huge. Boom, you just get it. You can cast a spell without expending a spell slot. Once you cast this spell this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. But, just like in Tasha's feats, you can cast this spell using spell slots that you have, period. So, you could use it with your... You could be a wizard that has Cure Wounds. It has happened. All the people that wanted to play White Mage, all the people that complained that wizards did not have access to healing, wizards now have access to healing. You could take this feat, and your wizard can heal people. That is correct. You can have a healing wizard. It happened. It really happened. It's not the best healing wizard, but you are a wizard who could use their spell slots for healing if you wanted to. Protective Wings. You can manifest protective wings that shield you or others. When another creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction. Let's see... to manifest spectral wings from your back for a moment, you grant a bonus to the target's AC equal to your proficiency bonus against that attack roll, potentially causing it to miss. And this is also tied to your proficiency bonus. Keep in mind, this has a different name than the shield spell. This has a different name than the shield spell, so this can stack with shield. So if your friend uses their reaction to cast shield and it's still not enough, if plus 5 AC is still not enough, you could throw your proficiency bonus on top of that shit. That's pretty awesome. All 3 of these feats are absolutely amazing in my opinion. I'm allowing all of them in all my games. I think they're just amazing. I think that these are really thematic for Odyssey of the Dragonlords, and I hope that my Odyssey of the Dragonlords players feel comfortable, taking these because they're awesome. All right, so that's the character creation stuff. So then we get over to Dragon Magic. And in Dragon Magic, they introduce some new spells, which we're not going to go over all of them today because I have another stream at 6 that I want to do, and I don't want this to go too long. Not a tremendous amount of spells, but I do like the shouts that are in here to some of these kind of famous dragons from the history of Dungeons & Dragons. I'm a huge fan of a Chardalon. If you're unfamiliar with a Chardalon, it is a red dragon warlock. And it bound a Baylor to its heart. So it replaced its heart with a Baylor. That's how strong and crazy this red dragon is. So a Chardalon is no joke. So it's cool to see that kind of these nods to more famous dragons throughout the game. Draconic Transformation, it's 7th level spell. Let's see. With a roar, you draw magics of the dragon and transform yourself. And you don't go into a full dragon. You still get to maintain all the stuff about yourself, which is pretty cool. And yeah. So you get blind sight, you get breath weapon, and you get wings. which I think is pretty cool. It is a concentration-based spell, and it does require a 500 gold focus, but by the time you're casting 7th level spells, 500 gold is nothing. Additionally, a bonus action casting time, fantastic. Fizban's Platinum Shield, nice nod to Fizban being Bahamut. This is another bonus action spell. I love all these bonus action spells. It's like they're finally respecting the fact that action economy is important. I wonder if Pathfinder 2 is putting some pressure on 5e's action economy design, because people are real into that 3-action gameplay over at Pathfinder 2, and I'm noticing like more and more stuff. Yeah, it is kind of a shame that this shield spell is not a paladin spell. It is a 6th level spell though. So I don't think paladins can learn 6th level spells, right? Paladins would max out at 5th level. And the problem with giving cool shit to paladins and rangers is that bards steal it much earlier than they're supposed to. So if they had made this a paladin spell, it would just encourage bards to steal it. So bards ruin this for paladins. That's what happened there. But this is a really cool spell because you create a field of silvery light that surrounds a creature of your choice within range. It lasts for up to a minute, and it gives them half cover. And half cover is no slouch. +2 to your AC and dexterity saving throws. My players constantly ask for this, but we always forget to apply it, or maybe they forget that cover also helps you with dex saves. We usually, I think, just say, oh, you have cover, you get advantage on your save, but we should probably follow the actual rules. Additionally, you get damage resistance to the 5 draconic elements, and you get evasion. That's the kicker right there. Again, if you have a dragon-heavy campaign, like Scales of War, like Red Hand of Doom, Horde of the Dragon Queen, any of those that are like heavy duty with the dragons, Odyssey of the Dragonlords, these are great. This book is going to be great for any campaign that is heavy duty with dragons. Yeah, so anyways, the spells are all really cool. I'm very excited about the spells. They got a new spirit spell. I'm a huge fan of Tasha's summon spirit spells. I much prefer summoning spirits to summoning big clumps of NPC monsters. I'm so over druids summoning 20 wolves, and we all have to wait around for the 20 wolves to take their turns and stuff like that. I do love these spirits quite a bit. All right, then with the magical items. I heard the magical items are bananas. The one that I heard about that I'm the most interested in is... God, where is it? It's a legendary item that allows you to learn a spell that you wouldn't normally have access to. Here it is. Ruby Weave Gem. It is a legendary item that requires attunement by a spellcaster. When you're holding this gem, you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your spells. It has 3 charges, regains all expended charges daily at dawn. When you cast a spell holding this gem, you can expend up to 3 charges to ignore the spell's material components with a gold piece cost up to 500 GP per charge expended. That sounds amazing, but wait, here's what really makes it good. When you finish a long rest, by the way, choose a spell from any class list. The spell you choose must be of a level that you can cast. You know the chosen spell and can cast it with your spell slots of the appropriate level until the end of your next long rest, when you can pick a different spell if you wanted. Holy shit. That's a really cool item. So yeah, this book has some good stuff. Like, good stuff. I mean, just improving the Dragonborn alone was fantastic. The new monk class, kind of sad, but could be fixed in the same way that all monk stuff can be fixed. The ranger, good stuff. Spells, feats, and items are all very, very exciting. So, very exciting to see all these new items and whatnot. There's something here called Draconic Gifts. And basically, with Draconic Gifts, they are similar to boons. So, Draconic Gifts detailed in this section have rarities like magical items. The rarity of Draconic Gift corresponds roughly to the age category of the dragon who bestowed it. I'm a huge fan of boons, especially in games that run past like level 10, where you run out of attunement slots, and you need more. You need more magic. That's where boons really come in and start making things interesting. So getting a pseudo dragon as a familiar, being reborn as a dragonborn, kind of dope. Draconic senses, blind sight out to 10 feet is pretty good, plus keen senses. I mean, this is some really good stuff here. Oh, let's see. Dragonhide belt. All right, we'll go back up and look at Dragonhide belt real quick. Dragonhide belt. It is a wondrous item. It could be uncommon, rare, or very rare, and only available to monks. Okay. This finely detailed belt is made of dragonhide. When wearing it, you gain a bonus to the saving throw DCs of your key features. Ooh. The bonus is determined by the belt's rarity. In addition, you can use an action to regain key points equal to a roll of your martial arts die. Oh, that's really nice. And you can't use this action again until next dawn. That's fantastic. That, I guess, basically solves a big problem in that they have a shortage of key points. I'd almost say that Dragonhide Belt becomes like a standard item for Monk in the same way that the Rod of the Pact Keeper is sort of a standard issue item for Warlock. Anybody that's played a Warlock or multi-class in Warlock, you know what I'm talking about. Rod of the Pact Keeper is a dope item and sort of required equipment for a Warlock. In the same way, I think that this belt is definitely going to become required equipment for a Monk. And man, if your DM is already having bad dreams about your stunning fists, oof, increasing the DC of those stunning fists is going to be some rough stuff. Very, very cool item. Very cool. Oh man. All right. Trying to keep it moving. I don't want to focus on any one part too long because I just want to do a quick overview of it. I will say that this part, Chapter 3, Dragons in Play, I know almost all this stuff. And I know almost all this stuff because I've been playing D&D for like 27 years. I had a Dragon magazine and a Dungeon magazine subscription when I was a kid. I consumed any articles and words I could find about Dungeons and Dragons. And I was fascinated by the lore of dragons and just all of that. I owned, but never got to run, Council of Worms, which was a campaign setting where you played as dragons in essentially an area called like the Dragon Islands, where it was all dragons. It was way cooler than like How to Train Your Dragon because it was D&D dragons, so they were all like smart spellcasters and cool. But you could also play like, I don't know, like I think the character I wanted to play was a Mercury Dragon Rogue. I thought that'd be super dope. But yeah, I knew a lot about dragons. I knew about all the lore and stuff like this. This is a fantastic dump of lore. This is just all this lore about dragons, and it's fantastic. It talks about how shapeshifting affects dragon relations and the creation of half dragons. It talks about everything. It talks about the religion, famous gods. It's a really, really good section, and if you are running a dragon-centric campaign, like Odyssey of the Dragonlords, or, all the other ones that we're mentioning, you are going to want to read this book. Like, this is really good lore. This is good information. It really helps you understand a Dungeons and Dragons dragon a lot more, right? There's like so many different dragons, Game of Thrones dragons, Dragon Tales dragons, like anime dragon, Final Fantasy dragons. These are Dungeons and Dragons dragons, and this is the lore related to them, and it's a good read, and it'll really give you a better idea of how to make your dragon more interesting. On that note, I really enjoyed layers and hordes because there is a section where they give you ideas for things to do to the layers. And this is something that I struggle with all the time. I love monster design, I love making monsters, but I don't ever spend as much time as I should on the environments themselves. And so this talks about, make the layer of the monster unique to the dragon, right? Make it beautiful, make it terrifying, make it silly, make it a physical manifestation of the dragon's personality, of the dragon's elements, of what the dragon does, of who the dragon is, and what the dragon is about. It also gives you advice for modifying the terrain and the regional effects to help kind of sell the dragon's elemental power and its presence. And finally, it talks about hordes and what is a horde? Like, what are they looking for? What do they value? And it talks about when you are a little baby, you make do with whatever you can find. But as you get bigger and more powerful, you start to do things with your horde, and then it even talks about the investment of the horde. So using the horde to increase the strength of your lair, to increase the power of your territory. And then it talks about ancient dragons, and at this point you have enough money that you could purchase entire countries if you wanted to. So I thought that was really, really cool. Um, then it talks about if you're building a campaign featuring dragons, what could be something that links your different dragons together. They split up some treasure between their different hordes or something like that, to kind of give your dragon hunters a purpose as they go and are plundering hordes. Again, just a really, really fun and cool way of handling this. I'm going to be using this Haunted Hordes section because I have maybe a Ghost Dragon that I need to set up for a game. And so I want to make sure that I kind of take a look at this. There's just a lot of cool stuff here. It's really, really cool. Then we get to the Bestiary, right? So let's see. Dragonomicon. Let's see. This is talking about the iconic dragons and giving you a little bit more information about them. And then the newer dragons are included in this as well. But if you just want to jump to the stats themselves, there is quite a bit going on here. So they reintroduce the gem dragons. So every generation, the gem dragons take forever to show up, and every generation, the gem dragons get changed ever so slightly to match how that particular generation of Dungeons and Dragons is handling psionics, because the gem dragons are supposed to be psionic dragons. Now, Matt Colville beat Wizards of the Coast to the punch in 5th edition and released his own version of all of the gem dragons, and they are all very, very cool. You can find those stats in Matt Colville's Stronghold and Followers, and I felt like they did justice to the different dragons of the gem family. But if you want something official, this book definitely has you covered. And each of these sections about dragons now is kind of digging deeper into it within this Dragonomicon section. So it'll explain to you, okay, I'm not just a green dragon. This is the kind of stuff green dragons get up to. This is the way green dragons are going to fight. I'm not just an emerald dragon. These are the motivations behind an emerald dragon. This is the kind of stuff an emerald dragon is going to be doing. This is why it might be a bad guy. So that Dragonomicon section in Chapter 5, really good. So down here in Bestiary, we've got Amethyst Dragons, Animated Breath, Aspect of Bahamut, and an Aspect of Tiamat, Chromatic Great Worm, and then we got Crystal Dragons, Deep Dragons, the Draco Hydra, Draconians, which are very cool. Draconians are from the world of Krynn, which is where Dragonlance takes place, and up until now, the recommendation was if you are playing a Dragonlance campaign, you just use Dragonborn for the Draconians. But true hardcore Dragonlance fans are like, that's not good enough. Draconians had all kinds of wild and crazy abilities, like being able to shape change like a doppelganger into the person that they recently killed, having psychic powers, all sorts of other craziness. They reintroduce the Draconians, and they provide a number of different variations on the Draconians. We got the Draconic Shard, the Dragonblood Ooze, the Dragonbone Golem, the Dragonborn Champions, Dragonflesh Grafters, Dragon Followers, the Dragonel, which, if you follow any of my games, oh, no, not the Dragonel. If you follow my games, I like to use these creatures called Hellkites, which are from Magic the Gathering. And they're basically just a modification of the Wyvern. You take away the spiky tail from the Wyvern, and the poison and all that, and you give it like a fiery breath weapon and resistance to fire. this is an even better way of handling a dragon mount. It is only a CR2 creature. It only has the ability to rend with its claws. It can't even make a bite with its cute little mouth. It's got a 60-foot flight speed. It's a large creature. It's the perfect solution if you want to have a dragon mount in your campaign, but you don't want to deal with all the stress of a dragon mount, or you want to have dragon mounts in your low-level campaign. This Dragonel monster is going to be like the perfect fit. It's fantastic. I also like that dragon turtles get expanded, so they actually have young, baby, and ancient dragon turtles, because I love dragon turtles. And I frequently have to size up or down the dragon turtles depending on what I'm doing in my campaign. So I was very excited to see this ancient dragon turtle. And little shout out to Theros, they are mythic creatures. So they actually have mythic actions on top of everything else that they're doing. The CR24, and it's got some pretty dope moves here on this ancient dragon turtle. Very excited to see the ancient dragon turtle in here. So, what else was interesting about the Bestiary? So, we've got Elder Brain Dragon. Everybody was super excited about the art for that. I'm here to tell you that it is an extremely cool, an extremely terrifying, and a very unique monster. So, its breath weapon is literally illithid tadpoles. It vomits forth illithid tadpoles. And it impregnates you with being an illithid. It's really horrifying. It will turn you into a mind flayer with its breath weapon. It is crazy. So I don't see any adventure with I don't see any adventure involving illithids not having one of these dragons. People are going to look for opportunities and ways to use this dragon because it's absolutely terrifying. It also has the ability to, I believe, yeah, here we go. Shatter Concentration. The dragon targets the creature is grappling. The target's concentration on a spell it has cast immediately ends, and they take 3d12 psychic damage. You don't even get a save. It just makes you stop concentrating on magic. This is a very cool monster. A very cool monster. Let's see. What else? Sea Serpents. Official, and Lion Drake, which, if you know about my Storm King's Thunder game, Salem the cat is actually a Lion Drake. It used to be called a Dragon with like 2 N's and an E at the end. Now they're calling it a Lion Drake. But yeah, I mean, that kind of looks like Salem with a long dinosaur neck. Yeah, this is what Salem is. If anybody's ever wondered what Salem is, this is what Salem is. He is a Lion Drake. And he has this cool, like, blood-chilling roar and all that jazz. It's just very exciting to see that officially make it to fifth edition. And let's see, what else? Oh, they introduce the Ghost Dragon and Hollow Dragon, which are both fantastic. So the Hollow Dragon is a type of undead. It's basically like the bones of the dragon. That are kind of moving around, and they are powered by the elemental energies of the dragon. And then you've got the Ghost Dragon, which I might need. Hey. And the Ghost Dragon has some pretty cool stuff here. It's coming in at CR 17, so it's a manageable threat, but it's got this terrifying breath, which not only does cold damage off of a Constitution save in a 90-foot cone, but it also causes frightened, which is interesting because, I mean, a dragon already has like a frightened ability, but this one apparently doesn't. Kind of a weird flex. Also, as a cold-dealing ghost dragon, its attacks do slow you, which is kind of cool, and cause necrotic damage. So overall, it's pretty neat. What I would probably recommend with the Ghost Dragon is harvest all the ghost abilities and just add them to the core dragon, sort of like a template. And I think that would be a lot more exciting than just running a Ghost Dragon as a Ghost Dragon. But overall, just really, really fun, really, really cool. Now, here is the downside of all this. A lot of people were really excited about this book because they heard that there was going to be aspect of Tiamat, aspect of Bahamut, and also the chromatic great worm. Here is the problem with that. All right, so you've got aspect of Bahamut, and it's a beefy sheet. He's a mythic creature and a legendary creature. It's fantastic. He's got some good stuff going here, right? He's got some pretty good stuff going here, but the math for a CR 30 creature, the math on this guy, it ain't great. It ain't great. Now, he does have 5 charges of legendary resistance, so if you're a spellcaster, I guess, oh well. And he's got this Platinum Breath Weapon, which is a 300-foot cone. That sounds amazing. With a DC 26 Dexterity save. But it only comes in at 12 D10 Radiant damage. With no secondary effect, no ongoing effect, no status effect, no nothing. It's just 12 D10 Radiant damage off of the literal god of dragons. So that was a little disappointing. Then we've got Exalting Breath, and this one's really cool because it heals targets within a 300-foot cone. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now you'll notice neither of these has a charge, right? So that is because they share the same recharge. So they're both on the same 5 to 6. So when it recharges, they have to choose which of these that they want to use. You know, Metallic Dragons, they got the 2 different breath weapons. Overall, I kind of expected more from the aspect of Bahamut. I thought they would kind of go all out, but they did not. Same with Tiamat. When I ran Skills of War, I found a homebrew version of Tiamat that was like 8 pages long, which admittedly is a very big character sheet, but it incorporated like all of the lore about Tiamat for the last 40 or 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons. It was really, really exciting. It did all sorts of cool stuff. This aspect of Tiamat CR 30, it's really not that impressive. I'll be honest. It's really not that impressive. The legendary action economy for this creature is very expensive, and there's some really cool stuff, like she pick you up and she throw you through time and space and hell itself. But your entire journey of being thrown through hell and missing an entire round of combat, you take 8d10 psychic damage. So in a way, she's still doing better than Bahamut with a lot of this stuff, but the Chromatic Flames ability, it's a 300-foot cone, which is pretty cool. An insane DC 27 dexterity roll, or dexterity save. It does 11d12 of any type of element of her choice. I really thought that they would do things with her multiple heads and kind of make that more interesting. The Tiamat that I used at the end of Skills of War, each of her 5 heads was treated as its own creature, and they shared a pool of legendary actions that they could activate, but each of the 5 heads was basically its own creature, and could recharge its own breath weapon on its own, and there was just a lot. It was just a lot more interesting. And then finally, you've got the Chromatic Great Worm. But the Chromatic Great Worm is a catch-all Great Worm. This is very similar to what they did with the 5th edition Phoenix, where they just turned it into a giant fire elemental. This is the same monster no matter what the core dragon is. So you got this kaiju-sized Great Worm, and despite its very large size, it's still pretty slow. It's still pretty slow. And then it has a bunch of hit points, I guess, 533 with a 22 armor class, but again, this is a CR 27 creature. And they made it mythic, and that's cool. And so it has some, some things it could do with its mythic actions and its legendary actions, but overall, not that great. Not that great. For 3 legendary actions, it can create 4 Spears of Magical Force. Each spear automatically hits a creature within 120 feet for 1d8 plus 8 force damage, and then disappears. So basically like a super magic missile. But that's all 3 of its legendary actions to do that. That's crazy. Additionally, the breath weapon. It's a 300-foot cone similar to the aspects with a very high saving throw. But again, it only comes in at 12d12 damage. And then the damage type is tied to whatever the core dragon is. And it's dexterity based, so high level rogue, high level monk, they're just not going to take any damage from it. I don't know. Overall, these three, I had big hopes for them, but I had heard spoilers basically about the book, and I knew not to get too excited because they just aren't very good. So what are we supposed to do if we want insanely strong dragons? You need Jetpack, I believe it's called Jetpack 7 Legendary Dragons. They are not in any way sponsoring me or this video, but they have a book called Legendary Dragons, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Let me put this into chat real quick. We don't have too much time to go into it. I could cover it in another stream, but this is a book that is just filled with incredible dragons. So if you find yourself disappointed by the quote-unquote super dragons that were included in Fizban's, do not be sad. There is an entire book just as big as Fizban's dedicated entirely to overpowered, absolutely insane dragons. I love this book. I am excited about Odyssey of the Dragonlords and the fact that it goes all the way to 20 because I will get to use some of the dragons from this book. I'm probably going to toss one or two of these dragons into Extra Life. One of them is so strong that I'm basically just reskinning it as a CR30 Tarask. These are crazy strong monsters in this Legendary Dragons book. So, yeah, definitely take a look at that if you're looking for stronger dragons. Overall, though, I would say that Fizban's Treasury of Dragons is a fantastic book, and it definitely warrants a place in, I think, anybody's collection. If you have the money to spend or to spare, you should definitely pick it up. If you are running any campaign that features a lot of dragons, so Storm King's Thunder, Horde of the Dragon Queen, Odyssey of the Dragonlords, Red Hand of Doom, Scales of War, anything Dragonlance, you're going to want to pick up this book. If you are new to Dungeons & Dragons and the Dungeons & Dragons lore, and you want to learn more about dragons just by reading and not listening to YouTube videos, you should definitely pick this book up just to read about the dragons, because it's really, really interesting. I find Dungeons & Dragons to be very, very fascinating, and so this is good stuff. I would say my only big regret is I don't think my favorite dragon was included in this book. Yeah, I don't think that there are steel dragons. Let's see. Yeah, it mentions song and steel dragons, but it doesn't actually go into detail about them, and that makes me a little sad. I love steel dragons. They are so much fun. And I put a steel dragon in every one of my D&D campaigns. No one's ever figured it out. So that's kind of cool. All right. Anyways, that's all the time I have to talk about Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. I definitely recommend picking it up. It's a cool book. The only thing that kind of falls short, in my opinion, is they nerfed the monk. They left out the new kobolds, which was a damn shame. And the super dragons were anything but super. But a lot of that could be solved with supplemental homebrew and additional, stuff like this Legendary Dragons book from Jetpack 7. So it's all good in the end. All right, I'm going to end this stream and then immediately start another stream because after a 2-week break, we're going to start working on Gothic horror setting again because I got some plans for that for next year, and I want to start working on some more world building for that. All right, thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you next time.